Welcome back, boys and girls and parents. Welcome to another Science Notebook update. This is unit number 2. This is genetics. We started off the same way that we always do. We have a title page, right, or a triangle page for our title page. We came up with 3 to 5 pictures of things that come to mind when we think about this term, right, genetics for this unit. What are the thoughts that we have? We followed that up with a table of contents. We are only currently up to as of this moment, which is the 26th of September, 2024, we've only made it to page 13. So we've done a strawberry DNA activity, populations, and traits were the things that we talked about. So we did our strawberry DNA lab. We got to go through different steps of the lab. We got to draw them out with doodle notes. We ended up writing down or recording down why we did some of the things that we did here in parentheses. And students at this point are now getting do nows. And so sometimes in here in my notebook, I'll write down what the do nows are all about, what we're covering, right? And you can kind of see these are all notes that I take for myself. The students don't have them in their notebooks, but I do put them in here for myself. So students can have an idea of what they're supposed to be doing, and I have an idea of what they're supposed to be doing as well. We got populations on page 12. They made T-charts. They were assigned a population to utilize, and they're also looking for similarities, differences there, as well as they did the same thing in their do now. So they're having this practice of finding similarities, differences, so they can understand inherited traits, okay? So that's the main focus there. So by page 13, this one's a really big one, right? So traits is gonna be a really long one. So we only covered a part of it at this point. So they completed this activity over here about these generation of traits and how DNA gets passed down from parents to offspring, right? And then they answered a few questions off to the side. One of the biggest things is because the main focus of this unit, the second unit or the PBO for this unit is about asking questions. Students ended up beginning to leave questions on a Padlet, so it becomes our digital DBQ or driving questions board where they get to ask questions there. They had to do now about parents and what traits they got passed or what traits were passed down to their offspring. And so for this, for our do now, we ended up using sunflowers on a slideshow. But I also had the students bring in family photos so that they were able to show what inherited traits they received. And something really cool about it is that, like for me, like I'm adopted, so and I have another student that's adopted, and I got some other students in different family situations. But some of the photos were really great that they brought in because it helped lead us into talking about acquired traits and learned behaviors already before we actually get to them, which will also be covered on page 13 as we go. Students took notes from a slideshow, they drew some pictures, and then we got to keep track of some of the traits that we had. So these were some of the traits that I had from the slideshow. Other students had different traits, whether they were detached, earlobes, had a right thumb over left, couldn't roll their tongues, had dimples, things like that. And then some students got to this already. If they haven't gotten to it already, they'll get to it on Monday. But they're just taking a list of or an inventory of their traits that they have based on this. Obviously, there's more traits like having like a hitchhiker's thumb and things like that, but we'll get to those as we further progress through this unit. Now, if your notebook looks like mine, you have all these notes up to date, then you are good to go.